Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are here with the penultimate race of our F1 Manager Ferrari career mode. Yes, we return to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache this weekend for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Just 2 races to go of the season, and safe to say things are looking pretty good for one of our drivers. The other one, well, I mean, there's no other way of saying it. Charles Leclerc could be world champion this weekend. If you missed out on the video that went live earlier on this week from Mexico, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. I apologise that F1 Manager has been so thin on the ground. I'm away back out in Switzerland next week, and then I'm finally back at home for a little while, so we're going to be able to try and get a lot more when we jump in with our new team for Season 2. So yeah, I do apologise, for the lack of content in recent weeks, but I'm going to try once I'm back to really start smashing out the F1 Manager content, as well, of course, as my team, the F2 career mode, everything like that. There's plenty going on the channel at the moment. But yeah, I mean, constructors wise, of course, we're comfortably out front by a long way. The only real battles going on, I think, now between really now and the end of the season, Aston Martin, Williams. If Williams had a bit of a miracle run, they might score 1 point and try and jump Aston Martin and count back. The only other real battle is Alfa Romeo and Alpine still. There's only 14 points separating them as we head in towards the final 2 races of the season. But Drivers' Championship, Charles Leclerc now has a 36-point lead at the top of the table. So all he needs to do is finish P3 this weekend in Brazil, and he will walk into Abu Dhabi crowned a Formula 1 world champion. Both of our drivers have got some development perks as well, so we're going to give them both a couple of bonus points to try and up their driver rating. I always find it quite funny, the fact that Carlos Sainz, his lowest rating is actually 83 now, in comparison to Charles Leclerc with 77 on a couple of stats. But I mean, you just look, I mean, Charles Leclerc, there's so many numbers up in the 90s there. It is kind of incredible just how quick he can be on this game. But yeah, Brazil, though, like we said, second to last race of the year. We're not too worried about trying to do other things with the team at the moment. Of course, we are going to be leaving Ferrari come the end of this season. A 300-point lead over Red Bull. It has been, we have done what Mattia Binotto couldn't in 2022. Anything else exciting going on, though? As we head towards this weekend, we've got a new aerodynamic testing restrictions are reset as well, so we've got a bit more time, but we're not going to worry about that too much. I guess what we need to do then is just head in to the Brazilian GP. But quickly before we do that, I just want to say a massive thank you as well to all of you for the continued support on the channel. At the time of recording this, we are literally like 10 subs away from 87,000 subscribers. So, if you're new around here and you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Please do consider it down below as well, of course, for more F1 related content. Trying to hit 100k by the end of the year. We've only got a couple of months left to do it. So things are probably going to get quite close between now and the end of the year. But let's get into it though. Brazilian GP weekend. Fingers crossed we can get yet another win on the board.
The carnival atmosphere has already started here in Sao Paulo as Brazil welcomes the Formula 1 Grand Prix. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache has been a staple of the racing calendar for decades, and soon we'll once again be watching the best drivers in the world give it their all. The Sao Paulo track is beautifully designed to present an enticing challenge for teams and drivers alike. Between medium-speed S-corners, hill climbs, and the high-speed section after Junção, this circuit calls for cars to have a balanced setup to succeed here. This is it. We're down to the last few races of the season, and it's time for that final push. Who will be crowned champion at the end of it all? We'll find out soon enough. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Formula 1.
Right, well, here we are then, back at Interlagos, and that's not what I want to see. Oh no, we're going to get another wet race. There we go. We're going to bottle it at some point this weekend. But, wet races so far this year, even including Suzuka, which we won, have not always gone too well for us on F1 Manager. So we'll wait and see as to how things go here. I mean, trying to have a look. I don't think we can get any data yet about what the weather's going to look like heading towards the Grand Prix itself. But yeah, Interlagos, though, always love coming back to this circuit. As always, we'll make some big tweaks to the setup early on. And then, where am I going? Oh, that's why I was bringing the front wing angle completely the wrong way there. Did not want to do that. Yeah, like I said, we'll make some tweaks, see what works. And hopefully we can try and get a good setup on the car. That seems... Yeah, we'll go with that with Charles Leclerc, and we'll try some other bits and pieces with Carlos Sainz. Now, as always, I know I keep saying it, but you guys have been absolute legends this season, just helping me out with F1 Manager. You know, so many of you know this game so much better than I do, that it is greatly, greatly appreciated. And hopefully, like I said, when we get in with the new team, everything like that, then we're hopefully going to try and learn a whole lot more as well. Of course, you know, Ferrari, I was expecting it to be a little bit more difficult this season with Ferrari, but, you know, we've kind of just been able to be quite comfortable. It's allowed us to make mistakes, which has been good on one half of things, but it would have been nice to really sort of have to go in and struggle a bit more week in, week out. But yeah, let's head out then into practice and see just what the drivers are feeling. Well, here we are then, back at beautiful sunny Interlagos here for the Brazilian GP weekend. Of course, as always, first cars out onto the circuit, just what we want to see. I think one of the Aston Martins is following us out as well. I am probably as well, once this season finishes, just going to have a look and see what the game does in terms of driver moves, things like that, of course, for Season 2. I really do think, though, F1 Manager desperately needs to find a way to implement being able to move teams between seasons, because it really does just sort of hamper the continuity of the game. But yeah, we'll see what happens, though. We've got bigger things to worry about right now. Let's jump in, free practice, and hopefully try and get some good data. Tsunoda's gone down at turn 1, apparently. Let's have a look. What did Yuki Tsunoda do? Heading back up in towards the first corner. Just a big lock up there, and luckily he's got... Not sure how he managed that one, but Yuki Tsunoda's done that somehow. I've also noticed Sebastian Vettel out of the session, and we never got any confirmation as to what happened there. We've had another crash on the circuit then by the looks of it. Will we see what Sebastian Vettel has done? Yes, we will. So it must have gone off in an even bigger way than Yuki Tsunoda as well there. So what's Sebastian Vettel done? Similar kind of error, but huge lockup down at turn 1, and just never seemed to got the car slowed down. I mean, looking at the timings, though, we're 20 minutes into to free practice 1 here, sorry, and what we've got 16 cars separated by less than a second. Of course, I know Interlagos is quite a short lap time anyway, but that is kind of mad that we could get a little bit closer when we get into qualifying. Of course, we're running all engine parts once more in both the cars here in free practice. You know, don't want to give Red Bull too much away as to what the pace is like, but I mean, over the season we've seen Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo all really sort of get closer and closer to Mercedes on their good weekends, but just, it's probably too little too late, sadly, for all of them. Minutes left on the clock, Charles Leclerc.
Yes, guys. Getting better and better.
We're making good progress then, apparently, according to Charles Leclerc, which is always what we want to hear. Carlos Sainz there are not quite able to get us the same information, but we'll see when he gets back to the pit lane here. But yeah, I mean, we're trying some different setup tweaks, you know, like I said, we're always still learning on F1 Manager as well there, but yeah, Valtteri Bottas fastest at the moment, Max Verstappen, George Russell, P2 and P3 there, Sainz down in 9th, Charles Leclerc down in 13th, but look at that then, both drivers pretty happy with the cars. I don't think we're quite going to be able to get, I suppose that could work, couldn't it? How do I reduce the oversteer? Or we're trying to, I think, yeah, we might just have to compromise slightly on the braking, sorry, the cornering even, I should say. We are going to revert that change. I just don't think there's really going to be many more tweaks we can make. Why can't I get rid of that? I don't know. How do I want to try and, here we go, revert to the setup with the highest confidence. Yes, please. So, I mean, yeah, we're pretty good across the board there. We're just lacking, oh, we could try that, I suppose. Yeah, well, we'll try that before we head back out there. Well, there we go then, free practice done and dusted from the Brazilian GP, and it is Valtteri Bottas, their fastest in his Alfa Romeo, just under a 10th clear of Max Verstappen there. George Russell, Hamilton, Lando Norris, Mick Schumacher, Stroll and Latifi, all with grid penalties this weekend as well, so shouldn't really affect us all too much, but yeah, a little way off the pace there with both of our cars, but we'll get into qualifying, and fingers crossed once we put all the fresh power unit stuff back on, we should be right at the sharp end. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like.
Our race weekend continues as we head into qualifying. For those teams hoping to pick up points in tomorrow's race, qualifying is a great opportunity to get ahead of the competition. Whether a driver normally finds themselves as a front runner or a back marker, any advantage they can gain here today is sure to give them an edge. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula One.
Well, there we go then. You can see by the end of free practice, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, despite still not having the fresh power units back in, still ended up fastest there, which says a lot about how much setup tweaks we've made this weekend. But pretty happy with that. Then, like I said, we'll bolt back in all of the proper components onto the car. You can see the gearbox down to just 16%, but yeah, we might have to take a gearbox penalty for Charles Leclerc next weekend out in Abu Dhabi. The ERS and the engine are both looking pretty comfortable, but yeah, just the gearbox wear still quite bad late on in the season. I mean, we've done pretty well to avoid too many penalties on either of the cars. I think Charles Leclerc has taken a couple more penalties this year over his teammate, but yeah, I mean, it's all learning, everything like that. I mean, both cars, yeah, their gearboxes are getting towards their last legs anyway. But yeah, let's head out then into Q3. Both drivers pretty happy with the setups. We'll see what we can do. Right, well, Charles Leclerc then heading out of Jungsao. Sunny Saturday evening here from Brazil. Of course, should be a sprint race weekend. That is something else that I'd really love to see F1 Manager implement in the future. But Charles Leclerc then out of the final corner up towards the start his first lap here of Q3. Looks like it is pretty much as always going to be a battle between our two cars and then also Max Verstappen down at Red Bull there. Of course, no grid penalties for any of them though this weekend. Should give us a fair run and a fair shot here in Q3. Of course, Charles Leclerc, grid penalties didn't matter last weekend. Still was able to walk away with the race victory there as Bottas sets the provisional fastest time there. First car across the line on a 109.4 there. But we'll ride with Charles Leclerc then over the course of this lap. We'll try and monitor the gaps between him and Carlos Sainz there. Leclerc not even going purple through the first sector, which is not what you want. What were the split times there? 18.5, 18.5. Carlos Sainz actually 15 thousandths of a second faster through the first sector then on these Q3 runs. But of course they will get one fresh set right towards the end of qualifying, but hopefully we're going to see the times tumble there. Lando Norris, good time for him and McLaren after what has been a very, very tough season for them. Nowhere near where they wanted to be as Charles Leclerc heading out then of Jungsao once more up towards the start-finish line. We'll have a look again at the split times. 34.1 in the middle sector. What is Carlos Sainz going to be able to do? It's going to be a 34.2 there, so they're practically, in fact, they are completely even as they went into the final sector there. Charles Leclerc, though, only goes P2 behind Pierre Gasly there, so really not a time to walk away too proud of. And Carlos Sainz is probably not going to go much quicker as Verstappen down onto an 18.5. Carlos Sainz goes into P3 there, 3 thousandths of a second quicker than Charles Leclerc. We are closer than the Red Bulls are to each other, but 4 tenths away at the end of the first runs. That is going to be a bit of a mountain to try and climb here. But we're going to have fresh rubber, so we'll give it our best shot. Well, here we go then, starting the final runs with Carlos Sainz there. Charles Leclerc is going to be the last car to start his lap there, but he's a little bit close to the Red Bull just in front of him. But here goes Carlos Sainz then. Purple through the final sector shows just how good this Ferrari's top-end speed can still be. And we'll ride on board with him then for a lap of the Sao Paulo circuit there. Through the centre S to start the lap there. Got to keep it clean and tidy. You really need to launch the car through the second part of that corner. Helps you with the run all the way down the Esquido de Lago here. Seen so many iconic moments in our F1 career mode videos around this circuit, especially in that part of the track. And there we go, Sainz purple through the first sector there. He's often been just a little bit quicker than Charles Leclerc through that first sector, and he is once again, but they're completely tied by Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz there in the first sector. There has been next to nothing separating our two drivers so far this qualifying session, and it doesn't look like that's going to change now, as I think it is going to be one of the Red Bulls' first one across the line then. Will it be Max Verstappen? Will it be Sergio Perez? Will either of them cement themselves on pole position then? Sergio Perez stays P2 at the end of qualifying, so Charles Leclerc is hopefully going to pick up some slipstream off of Max Verstappen there. George Russell stays P3. Sainz though, purple sector 1, purple sector 2. Why do they keep telling me that we need to refuel there? But Charles Leclerc going even faster further behind. Carlos Sainz across the line. He will go fastest at the moment on a 108.4. Charles Leclerc, though, inside the wheel tracks of Max Verstappen just in front of him. Will he be able to go any faster than his teammate? Yes, he does. a 108.363. It's another one too for the team, but Charles Leclerc comes into this weekend one hand on the championship trophy. That is the perfect way to continue on that form. It's pole position once again for Charles Leclerc. How many times have we said that this year? Well, there we go then. Both of our drivers able to put the times in when it mattered, and Charles Leclerc will start pole position for the Brazilian GP. Just to remind you, all he needs is P3 today, and he will head to Abu Dhabi as world champion there. But Red Bull P3 and P4 there, with Sergio Perez 5 thousandths of a second behind his Max Verstappen teammate. Very, very competitive time by both Red Bull cars there. George Russell with some grid penalties. We'll see Pierre Gasly bumped up to P5 there ahead of Bottas. Hamilton as well, going to be further down the order, as well as Lando Norris. But yeah, let's get into it though. Brazilian GP race time at last. Fingers crossed we can try. And, well, I mean, one of our drivers will be world champion anyway, but I'm going to try and keep it fair between them. Charles Leclerc has just been rapid, though, in recent weeks. Sainz has got his work cut out if he wants to stop him. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super, super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
It's race day, and final preparations are underway.
Ferrari performed brilliantly during qualifying and will be very pleased with their grid positions. But the challenge for them will be to keep the momentum going during the race. This weekend, Red Bull displayed promise during qualifying. Now they need to capitalize on their grid position and get a good race under their belts. And the race will be taking place under blue skies. That means the teams should be able to apply their strategies without any added complications.
And when it comes down to it, there's simply no telling what will happen here in the ups and downs of Sao Paulo.
Right, well, having a look then towards this race. Let's see when the weather is meant to be coming in there. Pre-race report. Circuit. No, where am I going? I always click the wrong buttons here. Overview. I can't. Where? No, it's on the next page, isn't it? Stop panicking, man. Stop panicking. We know what we're doing here. But, yeah, let's get into it, though. Brazilian GP race time. In terms of weather, then... Oh, no. It's meant to go from dry to wet and back to dry again before the end of this one. So this could get very, very difficult then. I'm going to keep both drivers on the medium tyres at the start of the race. We're just then going to allow them to go a little bit longer on those tyres if they need to. Of course, tyre wear this year has often been very, very good for both of our drivers. But like I said, I'm going to try not to get in the way too much. I'm going to try not to interfere. You know, they're allowed to race each other. It is a case of who will be world champion, of course, with the constructors already locked up. But let's get into it, though. What I might do early on is just try and get both of them to push on ahead of Max Verstappen. But yeah, could Charles Leclerc be crowned our third different world champion for a third different team in 3 years in Formula 1? There's only one way to find out. Let's get into it, though. Brazilian GP time.
It's sunny and bright as the drivers line up on the grid. And there's Charles Leclerc. They're in P1. Let's see if they can take advantage of that position. And further back, there's Sainz. A second place start for them today. They're in with a real chance. The race start is mere seconds away. And now, it's time for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's lights out And away we go.
Well, there we go then. Good clean start for Charles Leclerc. Straight ahead of Carlos Sainz as we head down towards turn 1. There goes Perez, trying to look around the outside of Max Verstappen in towards the first corner there. But Charles Leclerc leads the way there. Dream start for him as Sainz just couldn't quite get the power down on the inside there as we head out of the first couple of corners. Still 2-3 wide behind them though as everyone heads down the Assetto Corsa on this opening lap there. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez just behind, still waiting in the wings if anything were to happen between our two drivers there. Bottas up into P5 ahead of Pierre Gasly there. Zhou Guanyu up into P7. Remember, Alfa Romeo were just 14 points behind Alpine heading into this weekend. That is still a gap that can very easily be overhauled before the end of the year there, but sneaking our way through the S's for the first time then. Charles Leclerc looking pretty comfortable. It's the Red Bulls still side by side just behind him there. Pretty much everyone, in fact everyone inside the top 10 starting on a set of medium tyres there. Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher and Lance Stroll starting on the softs a little bit further back there. As have we seen any major other movement going on further down the roster? Of course, Hamilton and George Russell are both with some grid penalties there, found themselves starting way out of position, so they're going to be ones to watch this afternoon as well. As here comes Carlos Sainz though, as we head out of the final corner there. It's tucked up in the slipstream behind Charles Leclerc. He's going to have the inside line back down towards turn 1 here. Will he be able to make the move work on his teammate? Remember, this is critical stages of the Drivers' World Championship. Charles Leclerc squeezes Sainz over the curbs through the centre S there as once more down the Assetto Corsa they go, and we watch the Red Bulls go side by side on the opening lap. Now it's the Ferrari cars going side by side on lap 2 there, as we've got, I think, Fernando Alonso side by side with Zhou Guanyu further back. But still, as we head in through sector 2 there towards the technical middle part of the lap there, Carlos Sainz, he knows he has to try and get ahead of Charles Leclerc early on in this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc's race pace has just been so strong through so many Grand Prix this year there, but Charles Leclerc slams the door shut. Carlos Sainz are going to try and wiggle the nose back up the inside. They've got yellow flags out. Someone else has got issues early on in this Grand Prix there. Someone else has apparently ran wide further back, I can only guess. That is Daniel Ricciardo in this race. No, it was Lance Stroll who apparently ran wide there, just has now been shifted back to the rear of the field there. But coming towards the end of lap 2, 71 laps, remember, around the Brazilian GP this weekend, as once more Carlos Sainz is going to try and get back up the inside of Charles Leclerc there towards turn 1. Of course, no DRS enabled just yet. We'll get confirmation of that in just 1 second there. But Charles Leclerc still leads the way there. Valtteri Bottas now trying to get closer to the top 4 cars there, as Red Bull just can't do anything early on. Charles Leclerc again swoops through at turn 1 though. He'll have the inside through the centre S, and he will hang on to the lead then of the Grand Prix. But here comes Sainz now, first time with the DRS as we head back down towards turn 4 there. What is going on at the start of Grand Prix this year? Sainz up the inside, takes a lot of curb. Max Verstappen now is going to try and go on the offensive on Charles Leclerc just behind him. But Sainz, for the first time today, will lead the Grand Prix. I said he had to try and make a move work early on here, and that's exactly what he's done. The Spaniard up into the lead, but if it were to finish now, that would not be enough. He needs Charles Leclerc to fall behind Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez there if he wants any chance at this world title. As no! Sainz! Oh no! Carlos Sainz into the wall. The pressure immediately has got to him, and we haven't seen many instances like that this year from either of our driver. But Carlos Sainz, just a big lockup straight into the wall there. I don't know if that's him out of the Grand Prix there. Carlos Sainz, he does return to the circuit. That's okay. Has he picked up front wing damage? Yes, he has. So Carlos Sainz is going to have to box then at the end of this lap. We're going to bolt him onto a set of the hard compound tyres in case the front wing in case the rain doesn't arrive as quickly as we thought there. But Carlos Sainz, I cannot believe it. He needed a good result this weekend, and Sainz on just lap 3 of the Grand Prix there is going to have to peel into the pit lane. We've got Charles Leclerc still under pressure from Max Verstappen. I guess now we can tell Charles Leclerc just to go all out attack mode early on in this Grand Prix there. But Sainz, why? How did you manage that, man? Just a small lockup and just went straight on.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
And Charles Leclerc then, we're going to try and tell him just to go for it at the front of the field there. You know, we still want to try and get the win on the board this weekend, as we'll put him onto full deploy then. But Carlos Sainz, a long stop here onto the hard compound tyres, and he is in for a long afternoon now, as Charles Leclerc back up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Can he try and pull out a 1 second margin over Max Verstappen just behind him? We're going to have to be very careful about the tyre wear. But if we can leave both those Red Bulls battling just behind, Sainz now is, what, 30 seconds, 35 seconds behind any other car in this Grand Prix. It's basically going to require a miracle for the Spaniard to get back into it. And that is, there's a fair chance that is the moment that has cost Carlos Sainz a shot at the World Championship here. As there we go, Charles Leclerc builds up immediately a 1 second margin over Max Verstappen behind. But poor old Carlos Sainz there. He's ran so well through so much this year. We saw a couple of mistakes, though, coming from him in previous Grand Prix. And this weekend, it might just have gone completely pear-shaped right when he didn't need it there. Bottas applying pressure to Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez just behind. But Charles Leclerc now, he knows as long as he keeps that gap over a second, he can sit quite comfortable here for at least the next few laps, at least until the rain arrives. But we are still going to have to monitor that over the course of the afternoon there. You can see it's not meant to be rain until about half distance, so we've got a few laps just to try and keep it clean and tidy. But Sainz, man, that is not what you needed to do this late on into the season. We can just see at the front of the field, though, we've got Valtteri Bottas and Pierre Gasly trying to duke it out with those Red Bulls, but Charles Leclerc just pulling away at the front of the field. It was lucky we put so much spare fuel in the car, because it has just allowed both of our drivers just to push on there. We've got both Williams and Aston Martins duking it out towards the rear of the field, so hopefully Sainz is going to be able to pick them off quite soon as well. But I just cannot believe it. We've seen just a couple of small mistakes this year from Carlos Sainz, but that one is definitely the most costly. Sebastian Vettel locking up down at turn 15. What happened to Seb then? That's definitely not turn 15, but similar incident to what he did in practice. Luckily he was able to screw off the speed this time round there, but Sainz now just a second behind Lance Stroll and those two Williams cars, so I think he needs to try and pick them off as quickly as possible here. But I'm sort of looking at it, Charles Leclerc, those tyres aren't doing as well as I expected them to. I mean, he's worn them out slightly more than the cars behind. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world just yet, because I'd imagine those Red Bulls are going to box before Charles Leclerc does anyway in this Grand Prix. But yeah, that is a little bit of a surprise there, that Charles Leclerc just wearing out those tyres a bit more than we would want. I'm going to bring Sainz up onto the overtake in just a moment to try and get a move worked past these Aston Martin. But yeah, I mean, what more can you say, really? Poor old Charles Leclerc. Poor old Carlos Sainz. Even Charles Leclerc sitting pretty. He's got a 3 second lead at the front of the field here, but can we see Sainz then try to make a move on Lance Stroll at the final corner? At least, please, Sainz. You've got to try and score some points today, mate, despite the error early on, because you never know what might happen in the world of Formula 1, especially with these changeable conditions there. But here comes Carlos Sainz then, tucked up behind Lance Stroll. He hasn't got the top-end speed. Sainz hasn't got the top-end speed as we head back down towards turn 1 there, and he's not going to be able to do it. He's not going to be able to make the move work there. Can he get a run out of the centre S here on Lance Stroll? This time around, they can see weaving this way and that, trying to get the run on the Aston Martin, and now he's not using the DRS. Why aren't you using the DRS, Carlos? Please, just make this make sense, F1. Up the inside he'll go, though. He will still pull off the move on Lance Stroll, and that's going to re-promote him up into P19 then of the Grand Prix. Very, very good job. He's battling Williams and Aston Martins, man. Yeah, not quite what you'd expect there. Is wow, Crofty seemingly more hyped about that move than I personally was. There is now going to get stuck in a Williams sandwich as well. But I mean, look at the gap. Even then, once he's got past Sebastian Vettel, there's another 20-second gap to the cars in front there. Is Lance Stroll trying to pull off a move again? No, he's not, luckily. We'll put Sainz, though, back up onto the overtake mode. Hopefully he's going to be able to try and work his way past both those Williams there as well. Latifi almost into the back of Alex Albon through the final corner. But here comes Carlos Sainz then, tucked up in the wheel tracks behind those two Williams cars once more. Latifi trying to go one way on Alex Albon. Sainz trying to go the other. He's got no battery. He's got no battery. How on earth does he use that much battery as we get back up in towards turn 1 there? As long as he pulls off the move on Latifi, he can still try and get a run down in towards the Escudo de Largo on Alex Albon there, and luckily it looks like he will just about have pulled off that move, but Latifi might come back in him. Why is Sainz not using the DRS? Why? Why is he not doing it there? But still around the outside of Alex Albon he'll go. Very, very late braking manoeuvre there, but lap 17 to 71. Sainz now back into P17. Next up is Sebastian Vettel. Right, well, I think Fernando Alonso then, our first car of the Grand Prix from the mediums into the pit lane, so more and more drivers are thinking about it quite soon in this GP. There, Bottas is now up into P2 of the race. I don't know what Bottas has been putting in his porridge recently, but the flying Finn is, well, doing absolutely that and flying at this stage of the season there. But Sainz now has closed up to Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel here. I mean, we've just got to hope he can take these tyres to the wet period. And so, speaking of the wet period, it is getting closer. So I don't really know what we should do with Charles Leclerc just yet. 42% tyres. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. But Sainz here, he's just got a big gaggle of cars now in front of him. To the inside, up the hill, Sainz! Okay, Sainz is feeling brave now all of a sudden. I mean, he's got nothing to lose. He has to go for it, but that was a good little move there up the inside of the man he replaced at Ferrari into P16. There, Ricciardo and Mick Schumacher just in front as well there, as we've just made sure we've saved up a bit of battery over the last couple of laps to really be able to try and go for something again on the overtakes. But yeah, lap 22 of 71 then. 50 laps to go here at Interlagos. Can we now see Sainz get a run on Daniel Ricciardo out of the final corner here? Which way is he going to go? They're both going to have the slipstream off of Mick Schumacher just in front, but is Sainz going to have enough there? Again, he's not using the DRS. Why is Sainz not opening up the rear wing there? He's just making his life more difficult for himself. To the outside though, Daniel Ricciardo back at turn 1 there. He's going to have the inside for turn 2. Ricciardo just about gives in the room there, and Sainz is once again going to go on the deploy off the corner there. Will Ricciardo now get the run on Mick Schumacher, though? That is the real question. Will Sainz be able to get a run on either of them? Daniel Ricciardo having a look to the inside of Mick. That opens up the room round the outside for Carlos Sainz there. Ricciardo cuts over the curbing, and again, Sainz just won't pull it off. To the outside he'll go, though, of Danny Rick up towards turn 6, though, and suddenly now he will. Carlos Sainz doesn't seem to make many moves that make sense in this race, but he is pulling them off as he thinks he eyes up a move up the inside of Mick Schumacher as well there. I think Ricciardo's still trying to hang on the inside, but yeah, we'll put him up then into full deploy just so we can try and make sure that we get past Mick Schumacher as well here. Then we're going to have a bit of clear track space once more as Charles Leclerc still comfortable at the front of the field here. He's got about a 4-second lead now as Bottas and those Red Bulls still duking it out further behind. Will Sainz surely now, this is going to be a done deal out of the final quarter. DRS disabled. We have just used a bit too much, but that shouldn't damage us too badly as Mick Schumacher going to leave the door wide open as we head back up towards turn 1 here. Going to put the DRS back onto Harvest, and Sainz here back up then into P14 of the Grand Prix, but there is a long gap up towards those Alpines. Oh, here we go. Lap 27 there. I've got no idea how Mick Schumacher has worked his way back past Carlos Sainz, but the rain is now starting to fall, and I think as if it's above 1mm, you have to box onto a set of intermediates, so that is exactly what we're going to do then with Charles Leclerc, because these tyres are wrecked anyway. So Charles Leclerc then, we're going to bolt him onto a set of inters at the end of this lap, but how heavy and how quickly is the rain going to fall here? We should have boxed Sainz as well. I'm so sorry, Carlos. But yeah, how badly is the rain meant to fall over the next few laps there? It's meant to get a whole lot worse very quickly, but I don't think it's going to get above 4 mil. If it is, it's not going to be above 4 mil for very long. So we are just going to have to be a bit careful over the next few laps. So we're going to have to monitor a lot of things going on in this Grand Prix there as Charles Leclerc will box in at the end of this one. Kevin Magnussen having a pretty good race out for Haas so far, but apparently a lock-up for him. As, yeah, Sainz now just crawling around towards the rear of the field there. Latifi and Stroll, neither of them have boxed either. As Charles Leclerc, please say he's boxing in. Yes, he is. As the rain now starting to become less again.
Copy.
Not too sure how that's working, but I think, yeah, still bolting on a set of intermediates is going to be the right call at the moment. Charles Leclerc's just got to keep it clean and tidy. As Sainz, yeah, just crawling around in the midfield, but pretty much now at half race distance here in Interlagos. This is honestly giving me 2008 Brazilian GP vibes. That is probably one of my first real vivid memories of Formula 1 there. But Perez stays out one extra lap. Not too sure why he's done that. I'm guessing just because they wanted to favour Max Verstappen down at Red Bull. But yeah, Charles Leclerc will re-emerge back in P2. Sainz is going to box in at the end of this lap. He will probably come out actually a little way behind Daniel Ricciardo there. He's probably going to be a bit closer to Sebastian Vettel. But yeah, both drivers I think have made the right call. We've now just got to hope they keep it on the island. Sainz, keep it on the island. Here we go then. Carlos Sainz trying to line up a move on Sebastian Vettel as the track is starting to dry out just a little bit again. So we're getting very close to the crossover period back onto dries, but surely it's just meant to get wetter and wetter again over the next few laps there. It's probably going to stay intermediate conditions till at least sort of the final, 10 laps at this Grand Prix there? As there we go, Sainz again pulling off another move on Sebastian Vettel there. He's just going to monitor the gaps though as we'll bring it back into neutral battery. No, we're going to have to bring him to harvest just for a lap or so. But yeah, track has now just dipped below the intermediate threshold again, but no one boxing in. I think, yeah, it's just going to be very, very difficult. So there we go immediately, 0.97, and then jumps back up to 0.98. So we're right on the cusp between the dries and the intermediates there. I think Charles Leclerc has got a bit of a gap now at the front of the field. Yeah, up to 4.5 seconds over Max Verstappen there, as Perez has been well and truly screwed. But yeah, we're just hovering at the moment around that sort of that dry and wet crossover point. The sights at the inside of Yuki Tsunoda down through the center S. Will he be able to pull off this move? A lot of curb on the exit once more, but surely this one's going to be a done deal there. Yuki Tsunoda, yeah, well, of course, no DRS now enabled in this Grand Prix, but Tsunoda's still trying to get a run around the outside, and Sainz again just can't seem to do what he needs to this weekend. Sainz just has not quite got enough there. We're going to just keep him harvesting battery for another couple of laps here, but yeah, we just need to get him back up in towards the sort of neutral energy deployment. But yeah, what a tough weekend it's been for Carlos Sainz there. And Charles Leclerc just, again, I keep saying it, 40 laps to go. He is sitting pretty at the front of this field. Here we go, one lap further on though. Rain is now starting to fall just a little bit more again. And will Sainz now be able to get the run on Yuki Tsunoda again? He just can't seem to do anything, Carlos Sainz at the moment. And he's not far away from being lapped by his teammate here, which would certainly be a bitter blow. Here we go, to the outside of Tsunoda up the hill. Can he swoop around the outside there? Can he find the grip around the outside of Yuki Tsunoda? That would be an audacious move by Carlos Sainz as we get towards half distance of this Grand Prix. They're to the inside through the S's, and I think now finally we might see Carlos Sainz pull off this move on Yuki Tsunoda there. Back up into P13 of the Grand Prix, a couple of seconds away from Esteban Ocon, but still, yeah, it's a consolation as much as anything else. Here we go, Sainz now tucked up into a battle with Lando Norris and Esteban Ocon here, as he's still just got next to no battery at the moment. I'm leaving it on neutral just because I don't think he's... I mean, if he puts it on harvest, he seems to lose places to cars behind there, so I really don't know what to do with Sainz at the moment. But Esteban Ocon, Lando Norris side by side out of the final corner once more. Brazil, as always, is putting on a show here, as will Lando be able to hang on to P11 at the moment, keep Esteban Ocon away from Ricciardo inside the top 10 there. Will Sainz be able to get a run on the pair of them at the first couple of corners as they're too busy focused on each other? I don't think he will again. I think Sainz at the moment, it's just pitiful at this stage of the day. Shout out to Pierre Gasly running up in P3 and then AlphaTauri. That's a phenomenal drive so far by him. We could finally get another car, another different team on the podium here, but Sainz here has just got to play the patience game. We're going to keep harvesting battery just here and there. But here we go, Esteban Ocon up the inside of Lando Norris just in front. It looks like Sainz has got the best seat in the house for this little battle that's unfolding through the middle sector. And will Lando Norris be able to hang on to the place? Esteban Ocon tries to keep the nose there once more. And what is going to go on here? I mean, this is just the problem for Sainz. He keeps getting stuck in these battles with other cars that you really should not be getting involved with there. As Esteban Ocon gets the move done, Lando Norris puts a load of dirt into Sainz's face here as well. Big raindrop out of the final corner there. Will we now see Sainz finally be able to get a run out of the final turn? Again, I don't think he's going to be able to. Sainz just can't save battery this weekend. I've got no idea what's going on with him, but yeah, well, Charles Leclerc still sat at 70-odd%. Sainz has just got nothing left in the tank there, and he can't pull off moves because of it. Right, I've just spent the last 10 or so laps trying to get Sainz to save up some battery here, so now we can really try and go for it. Here we go, immediately to the inside of Lando Norris there. 30 laps to go here in Sao Paulo. Can he try and pull off the move again? Why has Sainz got no top-end speed anymore around this circuit? We're going to have to go overtake down in towards turn 4 there. We just need to try and get any sort of run on Lando Norris here. Is the DRS really this OP on F1 Manager? Surely. I mean, there's no DRS enabled, of course, at the moment. This might be why Sainz is struggling so much to pull off any moves in this Grand Prix. And again, nothing is working for Carlos Sainz today. Say that, he's going to try and have a look around the outside of Lando Norris at the top of the hill. He'll have the inside for the next corner. Come on, Carlos, please. Give us something to believe in later on in the day there for your race, mate, because, well, Leclerc's given us all the faith so far there. It was all we got. Aston Martin running wide just up in front. Is that a lap car? I think it is. It's, yeah, one of the, I think it was Lance Stroll there who's ran wide, and unfortunately again, That has screwed Carlos Sainz. Can we... I mean, we've left him on deploy out of the final corner. Yuki Tsunoda's gone round further back. Not too sure how he's managed that, as he just locked up trying to head out of the hairpin. Bravo to Yuki. That is incredibly weird way to crash there. But I mean, yeah, Sainz is now tucked up inside the battle for the top 10 once more. We've got Ricciardo, Ocon and Lando Norris there, as well as one of the Williams getting in the way. But it's just not working. Nothing is working for Carlos Sainz here. I'm sorry that I'm ranting so much about this. As Sainz now, come on, get the run. The Williams is out of the way. Why are you lifting? Sainz, why? He doesn't deserve to win a world championship if you're going to lift out of moves like that. Oh, it's painful. It's genuinely painful. Will he now be able to get a run up in towards turn 5? For some reason, this is his favourite overtaking place around the lap. Come on, Sainz, just do anything, I beg of you. Carlos Sainz to the outside of Lando Norris once more. Will he be able to pull it off this time round? I'm going to leave him on overtake mode until the move's done. Surely, Carlos, you can pull this one off. Less than 30 to go of the Brazilian GP there. Lando Norris still on the inside as we head through the next corner here. But Sainz now, I'm telling him not to give up on it. I'm telling him not to back out. Up the inside he'll go on his former teammate there. And finally, Carlos Sainz pulls off another move in this Grand Prix. Next up, Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo there. And then a big gap up towards George Russell and Kevin Magnussen. As here goes Ocon past the other McLaren there. Ocon's got past the McLarens far easier than we've been able to today. Esteban Ocon trying to get a run on Danny Rick. Not this time, as apparently that's going to make it a whole lot easier there. Daniel Ricciardo running wide down at turn 6. Oh, just got pushed out wide there. And Sainz finally able to be on the right side of luck there. Just picked off Daniel Ricciardo. Will he now be able to get the run on Esteban Ocon down the Esquido de Largo once more? Will go in this race. No, Ocon again will slam the door shut very firmly. But again, you know, maybe Sainz can get a run up towards turn 5. I don't think so this time. Oh, I say that. There we go, to the inside. Esteban Ocon just running a little bit wide there. And I was just about to sort of fast forward on towards the next few corners. You know what, you go back on full deploy again, Carlos Sainz. We need to make these moves. As to the inside of Esteban Ocon, he'll go here. And finally, another move pulled off by Carlos Sainz there. Back up into the top 10 of this race. But again, it's still consolation prizes there. As 55 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. I mean, if Charles Leclerc laps him today, it is Hamilton against Bottas in Turkey vibes a couple of years ago. Not to do much monitoring with Charles Leclerc so far this afternoon, but just over 15 laps to go. I think we are getting closer to the dry period once more, so just going to have to monitor everything like that. We're just meant to get one last little spike of rain before it tails off towards the end. So yeah, just going to monitor when that gets back below 1mm. We'll bring him in onto a set of the soft compound tyres for the final 10 laps here. But Sainz he still doesn't have the pace there. He's closing in a little bit on Kevin Magnussen late on in the day, but he just can't do anything today. It's been probably Sainz's worst drive of the year, and that includes, well, a couple of races where he absolutely stacked it. There we go, 14 laps to go. Rain is coming to an end, so we're just going to wait one more lap, I think, for the track to dry out before we bring Charles Leclerc back into the pit lane. We'll box Sainz as well, of course, onto a set of the soft compounded tyres. Is it worth boxing Leclerc? We haven't given him much time. Will he box now? Will he box next lap? No, he will box next lap. That's absolutely fine then. So I think, yeah, Verstappen might peel into the pit lane now. No, he doesn't, so we haven't got to worry too much about that. I mean, we could get, you know, the likes of a Gasly or a Bottas if they wanted to take the gamble and come in one lap early, which Gasly won't either. Will Bottas be the first one into the pit lane? No, he won't. But yeah, rain is now meant to stop for the final few laps of this Grand Prix. The sun will start shining once again. And for Charles Leclerc, that is a welcome return to the dry period. But he's just been comfortable pretty much since the start of this race there. He built a 5-second lead after Sainz bottled it. And has, yeah, just not looked back, quite simply. Sainz, though, has still got his work cut out. There is still not many cars diving into the pit lane there. There's still no one heading into the pits, but I think, yeah, even the Mercedes car's not boxing, so maybe Sainz now try and get a bit of an undercut on a couple of drivers here as the track continues to dry out there. Here comes Carlos Sainz into the pit lane. I've just got to hope that Charles Leclerc doesn't get held up in all of this as well there. How bad would it be now if suddenly it started raining once more? It'd be complete Ferrari energy, but Sainz has pretty much timed this to perfection as the track is going to go back to 1mm as soon as he bolts on those tyres there. Are we going to see any other cars into the pit lane? There we go. Yuki Tsunoda are following in. So, yeah, definitely, I think I made the call at the right time there. Verstappen going to try and hang out for another lap. So is the Dutchman maybe going to try and drag those Inters to the end of this race just to try and see, you know, if he wants to sniff at the race victory there. But Gasly in as well. Could Gasly get the jump on Max Verstappen here late on in the day in his AlphaTauri there? What a result that would be. As Carlos Sainz now has just got to keep pushing. He's a couple of seconds away from Zhou Guanyu, but surely he's going to be much, much faster towards the end of this race. Go then, you can see Charles Leclerc taking time hand over fist at Valtteri Bottas there. Zhou Guanyu again not boxing into the pit lane here. Verstappen has dived it in, so I'm sure we are going to see Charles Leclerc re-inherit the lead of this Grand Prix there. But will Bottas peel into the pit lane as well? Bottas might not be able to. Yes, he does. He swipes across Charles Leclerc's nose right at the last moment there. But Charles Leclerc will re-emerge in the lead of this race there. We've got Kevin Magnussen still just ahead of Carlos Sainz, though, down in P10. But where is Gasly going to re-emerge here? He should still be P3 as Perez still on intermediates. Yeah, he is. So Perez is well and truly screwed in this one. But yeah, I think, why is Gasly in again? Gasly bolted on a fresh set of intermediate tyres when the track was dry. So I've got no idea what's going on down there. But it's going to mean Charles Leclerc's got an even bigger lead at the front of the field there. Gasly has probably just bottled a chance at a podium. But Sergio Perez just going to have to try and stay out one lap longer. But Sainz now, once he gets, I think the last car he can really jump here is Kevin Magnussen. He's got a few cars a bit further up the road, but 10 laps to go of the Brazilian GP. He's still sat down in P10 here. He just not has been able to make an impact like we would have hoped from him there, as Carlos Sainz to the outside of K-Mag back in towards the first corner. Come on, you're on very, very quick, very, very grippy tyres there. To the outside of Kevin Magnussen through turn one. Of course, K-Mag never one to really give more space than he absolutely has to. But Carlos Sainz then round the outside as they head down the Esquina de Lagos. Magnussen's got the Magnussen's got the DRS, sorry. This is just me having an existential crisis over Carlos Sainz being completely mid this afternoon. And again, he can't pull off the move. So there we go then. Just bringing Sainz back up in towards the rich revs. And you can see now he has pulled off the move on Kevin Magnussen there. But 6 seconds up to George Russell up the road. That is definitely going to be the last car I think he can sensibly get in this race, unless anyone else bottles it. But into the final 10 laps. K-Mag's still not giving up on this. Everyone believes they've got a chance to try and make a run on Carlos Sainz here, because he's just been that poor this afternoon. And Carlos Sainz has still not been able to break free of Kevin Magnussen just behind him there. But about to start the last lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, it has been such a fantastic campaign. He's been very unlucky on a few occasions this year, but when it's mattered, Charles Leclerc has made the difference and been able to walk away with some pretty incredible race victories. You know, Mexico last weekend, Singapore are probably the two that really stick out to me. He was dominant early on in the season there. Was quite unlucky, if you remember, all the way back to Saudi Arabia, round 2 of the year, where Sainz got a lucky pit stop under a safety car. But since then, yeah, Charles Leclerc, you know, they've traded victories backwards and forwards this year, but Charles Leclerc has just been, you know, when it really matters, when it all comes down to it, when you need a lap where you pull out a second over the car behind, where you have to start further back because of grid penalties and you've got to slice your way through the field, there is no driver better than Charles Leclerc at the moment. Round in the final few corners of the Brazilian Grand Prix. He's spent 3 years at Ferrari up to now. It was always thought that Sebastian Vettel would be Ferrari's new golden child, but Charles Leclerc came in 2019, beat out Sebastian Vettel in his first season down at Maranello there after just one previous year in Formula 1. He signed a long-term deal with Ferrari. Many wondered whether it would be the right thing to do, but Charles Leclerc out of the final corner. He's got a race to spare, but he is going to come through to win the Brazilian Grand Prix, and doing so, a Formula 1 World Championship. Charles Leclerc, I'm sure that one will be dedicated to his father and Jules Bianchi.
Let's go, come on!
What an amazing drive.
Let's take a look at the replay. And there it is, a win for Charles Leclerc.
And is thoroughly deserved. A hugely talented driver and undoubtedly a worthy winner.
Carlos Sainz, though, it has not been a weekend to remember for him. A mistake early on and then really just lacked pace and confidence throughout most of the afternoon. He wasn't even able to stay ahead of Kevin Magnussen there. It's going to be P10 in the end for Carlos Sainz. A bitter way to lose a world championship.
Well, this was definitely Charles Leclerc's weekend. Everyone involved in Formula One dreams of seeing their driver up there on the podium. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today. A lovely occasion as we see all three drivers clearly relishing their moments on the podium. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
This was thrilling to watch. They've done an excellent job and they deserve all the plaudits.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
Formula One has almost reached its conclusion this year. Meet us next time in Abu Dhabi, between the desert and the sea, for an enthralling finale.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix there. And Charles Leclerc, he did it in fantastic fashion there. 10 seconds clear of Max Verstappen come the checkered flag there, and a dominant display in how you win a world championship as well there. 25 points on the board, just looked comfortable right the way throughout there. Max Verstappen P2 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, a fantastic podium for him and Alfa Romeo late on in the year there. Should mean they're even closer to Alpine, of course, in the Constructors' Championship. Sergio Perez, unlucky P4 there. Gasly was robbed of a podium, to be honest there, you know, boxing him onto a fresh set of inters when the track was drying out. I've got no idea what they were thinking down at AlphaTauri there. Hamilton P6 ahead of Alonso there. Russell, a very good recovery as well, up into P8 there ahead of K-Mag. And yeah, Carlos Sainz just... I don't even want to talk to him. A disappointing race weekend. I'm sure he's gutted as well. But, you know, he just never really... After he made that mistake, just seemed to have lost confidence in the car. Maybe there was some damage as well. I don't really know. But happy he was able to get a couple of points there. And showed he did still have some pace with the fastest lap there. That means constructors-wise, though, we are less than 300 clear now of Red Bull. In fact, they actually scored more points than us this weekend there. But tricky conditions. We did get a win. So let's not forget that late on in the year there. But 21 races in, 19 wins, 20 podiums, and 20 pole positions so far. We've got one more race to try and make it count there. You can see Red Bull as well, 1 win and 20 podiums this campaign there. And of course, Mercedes with a win on the board as well. But not many podiums there. Means now we've had 5 teams score podiums this year as we head in towards the final couple of race weekends. But Drivers' Championship, there we go, official confirmation. The gap now as we head into Abu Dhabi, 59 points between Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz there. Fantastic weekend from Charles, and of course probably going to mean that by the end of the year the championship is going to look a bit more dominant than it has been. But what a race, what a weekend from Charles there. And that means we can go into Abu Dhabi not really too worried about anything. We can't lose anything, we can't gain anything in either of the championships, so we can just sit back and relax there. I think there are still a few more bits and pieces to play for, though. 5 points now, of course, between Alpine and Alfa Romeo. Haas, given a miracle, could still jump McLaren, I suppose, as well. And of course, Aston Martin and Williams are still separated by 1 point there. Constructors-wise, though, Bottas and George Russell, the battle of either Mercedes present or Mercedes past. 1 point between them. Gasly, Alonso, there's still a few little battles that could move around in the Drivers' Championship as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And we will return very, very soon for the finale of our Ferrari career mode here on F1 Manager. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members. So a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below. And yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.